𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗃 here at the @TopVelocity #pitching tips show. Haven't done one in a while, so happy to get back on here again. So if you want to get us a question, we'll put it on the show here. Just comment below. You can really comment anywhere on our social media, but put #pitching tips so we know that you want this question answered on the show. So I got a few questions today, so we're gonna have some fun going through them. So the first question of today is, so what do I do instead of pulling my glove? So this is a question that went to one of the videos where I talked about how the glove can disrupt the kinetic chain. So basically, this glove can be used to cheat the better use of the kinetic chain. So when I'm throwing or even pitching, I'm trying to get forces out of the ground, move those forces up my body, and I want to sequence the rotational movements like pelvis rotation, trunk rotation, shoulder rotation to build up that energy that I pulled out of the ground. So where this becomes a disruptor is when, as I'm going to drive that energy from the ground through the hip, if it's not ideal, I can use this glove to kind of make up for the lack of rotational energy. And that's when it disrupts that sequence of timing of energy through the pelvis, through the trunk, and through the arm. And it really kind of over-dominates the rotational forces. So a great drill to do that is putting the glove behind your back, and that comes from one of the videos. Because when you put the glove behind your back, now you don't have the glove, you can't cheat it, so you're forced to do it the correct way. So to answer his question is, put your glove behind your back and now learn to drive your back leg energy from the ground through your hip to power more pelvis rotation as you delay your trunk. And now you harness like a whip, the counter rotation, the stretch shortening of the trunk between the pelvis and shoulders to then accelerate the energy through your trunk, and then your arm kind of follows the same pattern. So basically, if you're not pulling your glove, you're better using the ground to power pelvis rotation, and then you're countering that through trunk rotation. Next question. How do you prevent arm drag? And these kind of go together. If I'm pulling the glove aggressively, so basically I've failed to use the sequence of pelvis rotation to trunk rotation. So now I'm pulling the glove aggressively to create those rotational forces. What's gonna happen is you're gonna throw the trunk so quickly into rotation that your arm, which is out here, is gonna get caught behind. So 90% of the time, I'd say 100% of the time, arm drag, the arm staying behind your back too long, or what the medical term would be hyperangulation, that's because you're too aggressive, you're too early with the glove, and now you've got your trunk accelerating so fast in trunk rotation your arm can't keep up. So how do you help your arm, or how do you allow your arm to keep up? You focus on delaying your trunk and not pulling your glove, because once I go to my glove, I can't delay my trunk. So you focus on delaying your trunk and driving your pelvis rotation through the ground, through your legs, so you're not forcing rotation through your glove side. And now as it comes through your pelvis rotation, your trunk delays, now there's as much energy or forward energy from the drive down the mound as there is rotational energy through the pelvis rotation, to where the trunk doesn't want to just spin off. It wants to rotate, but also push forward. So that way you're not going to create the arm drag, because more of your acceleration's through your trunk in forward movements, or the forward tilt, as it is in the rotational movements. So now it's easier for your arm to keep up with the trunk. But if it's all in the rotational movements of your glove, your arm's probably going to drag and stay behind. So I hope that answers your question. Let's take one more, and then we'll move, and we'll end the show, and then you can ask more questions for the next one. He says here, should I decrease my stride length to facilitate flexion in the back leg? This is a good question. He's basically saying, I want to take my stride and I want to shorten it because it'll be easier to sit and load. Well, that's not exactly how it works. Yes, stride length is dependent on your ability to mobilize a full stride. So if you have tight hip abduction, say 35 degrees, you're probably not going to stride well. And what's going to happen is you're going to think, I want to stride, and then you're going to run out of range, and you're going to run out of the ability to sit and flex your back leg. So that's probably what's happening to him. He probably has really tight hips. So when he thinks stride, he can't sit long enough, and he's already moving into extension as he goes into landing. So shortening the stride is not going to help that, because you're still going to want to move forward as you sit. It's not just about sitting and driving, because then we'll go up. It's about falling and sitting until the shin gets down and linear, then we drive. So ultimately you need to focus on the mobility challenges you're having to where you can sit and move forward and you have all that range of motion to sit and flex and drive. And unfortunately, just decreasing your stride length isn't going to biomechanically fix those problems. So things that would fix that would be doing obviously hip abduction stretches like super frogs or against the wall, doing splits on the wall. Then getting into hip extension, because you'd be able to stride and rotate your hips. If your hips are tight, like right in the front here, hip extension, then that's gonna limit your ability to get into a long stride. So exercises like the couch stretch and stuff like that would be great to facilitate more mobility. So that's last question for the show. If you have any comments, please post your comments below. If you want them answered on the show, put hashtag pitching tips and we'll get it on the show. And thanks for following us, and we'll look forward to next time.